Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel once again. So today we are going to learn different perspective of poppy flowers. It's the month of August, so it's good idea to learn something about poppy. I'm going to use all these gel pen having different size as well, because today we are not only going to learn the perspective of the flowers but also going to learn some sketching mechanism. So let's start with today's video. So I am going to show you two different ways to draw poppy birds. So you need to draw something like this, a small oval shape, then cover those oval shape having a bigger oval shape kind of structure, and then smaller structure at the base and a stem. Now in the oval shape we need to create a small flower and then do some little bit of detailing with the help of pen, which I'm going to show you later, but this is something you can do. This is the best way to draw poppy birds, but if you not want to do this much detailing, then you can do something simple like this, just an oval kind of shape having smaller structure at the base and the stem. Now I'm going to use different sizes of gel pen, mostly 01 for outlining and 005 for hatching and contouring the flowers. So let's draw everything with the help of pen so that things are visible for you guys in a better way. Then we can rub all the unwanted pencil mark. I'm going to show you everything in detail for the flower birds and one flower to start with, and then you can repeat the same thing for rest of the other perspective. Learning perspective of the flowers is important because you're drawing flowers in a group. Now around the flower inside the oval shape we need to draw everything solid so that we can see something like this. It's quite beautiful structure at the top of the poppy bird, and then we can do little bit of contouring. So hatching means adding lines parallel to each other, very close to each other, and contouring means you are adding those lines into the object shape. So we are not drawing straight line, we are drawing a little bit curved line. And cross contouring means you can create some crisscross line to create little dark structure. So I'm doing the cross contouring at the base of these birds and contouring throughout the flower bird, and you can make this as much closer as you want. You can do little bit of cross contouring, and these things are important if you like to draw something. But if you are only interested drawing flowers and you want to paint this with the help of watercolor, you don't need to do these much of detailing. Let's start with the first perspective. This is going to be super simple. I'm going to keep the ovary of the flower same as bird, the first one that we have created. So create two round shape like this and one bigger round shape. So you can do it roughly, you don't have to very precise round shape or something like that. So this much is fine. And then with the help of pen itself, you can do it with the help of pencil also, but it's fine because we know what needs to be done here. So I'm doing the same thing what we did in the first flower bird, creating a small flower, but this time into round shape, because this perspective is towards you can see the whole flower. And then we are adding little dots around the round shape having little negative space in between. So this process is called stippling. So the more dots you are going to add, the more darker shade you will get. And then little bit of hatching. You can do cross hatching as well for the small stamen. So this structure is quite important when we learn about poppy flowers. Create more visible dots, make it look like this is full of stamens, very fine stamens around the ovary of the flower. Negative space is important, so keep negative space also. And then cover the circle with the help of 3 to 4 or maybe 2 to 3 petals, because I have not seen too much petals in the poppy flowers. So I'm keeping 3 for the first layer and maybe 3 more for the second layer. You can keep 2 as well if you want to, and that's the beauty of poppy flower. You can do little modification in the flower petals and layering of the petals as well. So do not create the petals smooth, have some wavy structure around the edges. And this is the first perspective of the poppy flower, which is very simple and facing towards you, wherein we can see everything what is going on in the flower. Now do some more of shading, detailing and hatching process in the flower petals as well. So I'm adding lines like this around the first layer of the petals, and I also need little bold structure around these lines so that it will more look like we have some folds into the petals. So that is something needed. You can skip all these part if you're not interested in drawing and only interested in perspectives. So I'm doing it just to make it more beautiful, otherwise it's not needed. And do some hatching process around the lines, which means add more lines. You can keep the length little smaller, little bigger, and you can draw these lines from outward to inward or from inward to outward. I'm repeating the same process for second layer as well, and I'm showing you all these things slowly for the first flower so that you can learn everything about how we can sketch this flower and how we can shade this flower. And then rest I'm going to skip these part for so many other flowers. Let's learn the second perspective. So this is more towards the left side and this is closed one. So this is tilted towards the left side, but closed one we are not able to see the ovary of the flower. And I'm creating one big petal covering most of the oval shape. And then one more petal at the side and maybe one more petal here. You can do a little bit of experiment while doing all these things, and you can create a number of different perspective as well. So let me draw everything with the help of pen so that I can see things more clearly, and you guys too. And also add fold into the petals whenever needed. I have added one in the smaller one, but I think we should add few more petals, so I'm adding one here, and maybe we can also add one more petal at the base. So let's add one small petal here as well. So you can do these kind of experiment with your own perspective. Do some hatching techniques at the stem and the folded structure. So I have one fold here, so I'm doing cross hatching mechanism here. So adding crisscross line to make to add shades into the fold. So this is about fold. So we are doing cross hatching here and hatching process or contouring process into the petals like we did it for the first one. So add lines like this and then do some hatching stuff, create more parallel lines around these lines. You can go inside to outside or outside to inside, depend on how your petal is looking. So this is more folded towards the ovary, so you can do little bit of hatching from inside to outside as well. So it's totally fine, totally up to you how you want to do these things, or else just keep your flowers simple using normal ball pen or pencil. It's not necessary to learn all these things if you are only interested in perspective. Now let me create one more. So the way we have created ovary in the first one, we are going to repeat the same thing for this one as well, because this one is also tilted towards the left side, but we can see the ovary a little bit. But the flower structure inside the ovary, like this one, in this one we are seeing more towards the left side, so we are not seeing all the ovary. So half of the ovary is covered with this particular petal. So I have created one big petal at the base inside the circle, not outside the circle, and I'm repeating the same thing for the ovary. So I'm creating a small flower kind of structure, then I'm going to add stamens, a full of stamen in here. The only difference is we can see only half part of the ovary and half part of the stamen. So that is something we need to take care of, because this perspective is different than the front perspective. So with the help of stippling technique, add dots around the ovary, and then create stamens, add more visible dots to make it look like it as a beautiful structure at the center of the flower. Now create few more petals for the first layer. So I'm adding one petal here and maybe one petal here. I'm not starting from the base, I'm starting from the petal, so that it should look like this is overlapped with each other. Now create one petal at distance little bit and one more here. I think I'm fine, I'm okay with this particular perspective. And then trace everything with the help of pen and add some folds into the petals. Let's rub everything, all the unwanted pencil mark, and then we can do cross contouring inside the fold structure and do some hatching process around the petals. Now this petal is tilted towards the ovary, so we need this contouring process at from the base, like I'm starting from the base and moving towards the upward direction, so that it will look like it is folded towards the ovary. You can do a little bit of cross contouring as well to add more structure and pattern into the flower. So I like to do these kind of things whenever sketching is required. And then the more crisscross lines you are going to add, the more darker shade you will get. I am going to repeat this cross hatching or cross contouring process in all the folded pattern that we have for the petals. So if you have learned these things, you can skip this part and move ahead. I'm doing the same thing for the stems as well, but only on one side. And then repeat shading part for the petals like we did for every other flowers that we have. You can keep more shading, you can keep less shading, it's totally fine, totally up to you how you make your flowers better. But see, this one is totally different perspective, and I'm adding little bit of cross hatching process here as well in the petal. And see, these two flowers having left perspective but very different from each other. One we can see the ovary, in another one we cannot. So now let's learn one more. This one is more tilted towards the right side, but totally different perspective. You can do the same process what we did for the last flower for the right perspective, but I'm going to show you a little different in this particular one. So create center part. We can see only 1/3 part of the ovary because the ovary is covered with these two petals. You can add folds as well and then create 2 to 3 petals around it, the bigger one. I have created 4, and this is more tilted towards the right side. You can add folds around every petals that you have, and then trace everything with the help of pen. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the center part of the flower, like creating the ovary, creating the stamen structure, and doing some shading around the folds, having cross contouring or cross hatching process, and I'm going to do some hatching process around the petals to make some folds in it. So basically I'm repeating the same thing what I did in every other flower. And see, this is totally different flower, totally different perspective, just little variation into your petal and into your ovary direction. You can create a number of different perspective like mine. So create your own perspective, you don't have to copy mine, just create your own and compose your own flower, bouquet or maybe group of poppy flowers itself. And you can paint with the help of watercolor pencil, acrylic color or watercolor, whatever medium you like to paint with. Or else if you are only interested in drawing, you can draw something like this. You can learn some processes around the sketching and do something like this. This is the first time I'm showing all this thing in my videos. So if you want a in detail video around all these sketching techniques like hatching, cross contouring and other different techniques, I can create one more video for you guys. And we are almost done with this particular perspective as well, and see, it is very beautiful and very different from each other. This one and this one is only left and right were very different from each other because of the center part, I guess. And this one is facing towards you, the simplest one. Now let me show you one more in which you are seeing the back of the flower. So basically we are seeing the whole flower, but we're not seeing the ovary. Instead we are seeing the sepals at the back. But because we are seeing the sepal at the back, you cannot create stem in here. So let me rub this one and we can start from the center like this. So basically I have created two petals in each layer, and then we are going to repeat the sketching mechanism to complete this particular flower as well. This is the back perspective of the flower, and in this video we have learned so many things about sketching and so many different perspective of flower birds and poppy flowers. So I'm hoping this video is helpful for you guys. I'm hoping you are going to do some practice around this particular flower, and do let me know if you guys have any feedback for me. And thank you so much for all your love and support and watching my videos.